Good morning, guys. How are we all? The media continues with its hate campaign. Everyone's got an opinion on Chelsea right now, haven't they? Just hate it, you know. And marvellous. Carry on. Keep your stuff coming. You won't be happy, will you, until something goes wrong, and then you'll be building on that particular story, and you'll do everything there is, I'm sure, because that's how it works. But see, old Piers Morgan put out a little tweet there. I don't know why he even felt the need to do that, really. I suppose he thought that he would, maybe he's triggered too, obviously clearly triggered. I don't know why he felt the need to show the league table and say what he has and all that. Brilliant that John Terry come back and said, he's won more medals playing golf than Arsenal have. Where have you been for the last 19 years? Quiet and all that. Fantastic. Well done to John Terry. And Piers Morgan, fucking what a dickhead you are. Absolute fucking fool, do you know what I mean? He epitomises the club that he supports. Absolute div, he really is. Okay, guys, so I thought I'd give you a little update on things not related to players, just to do with the stadium. And just a couple of things that I thought was quite relevant. I'm going to try and read off here. This is off My London, written by someone called Jacob Phillips. Let me just have a look here. Neighbours fear Chelsea Football Club is going to turn Stamford Bridge into a 7-day-a-week nightclub, all in but name, with plans to transform the stadium. Residents near the venue have written to Hammersmith and Fulham Council asking them to put an end to Chelsea FC's plans to host gigs at the iconic ground. Fucking arseholes, aren't they? Really are, The stadium wants to play live music indoors until 1 a.m. near the West Stand. Chelsea also wants to use the outdoor areas around Stamford Bridge to host gigs and films until 11 p.m, but the move has alarmed neighbours and businesses. Chelsea neighbour Kate Reardon wrote to Hammersmith and Fulham Council asking them to turn down the football club's plans, obviously a Spurs fan. In a letter seen by their local Democracy reporting service, she said, "My 7-year-old twins and I feel totally overwhelmingly intimidated by the football fans and crowds. We are already entirely housebound on match days." Well, it's quite fucking simple, really. Move. I mean, that ground's been there since 1905. That fucking road where it's situated on, it was formed, the Rising Sun pub. That football club was there well before you decided to move. What did you think you were moving next to? And don't fucking turn around and tell me that it's worse now than what it was. Absolute bollocks. So, Kate, put your house on the market, or sell it to Chelsea, and we can expand the ground a bit more. Since birth, my children have had their sleep relentlessly and systematically disturbed by the sounds of aggressive men gathering outside our house and shouting late into the night. Really? When they go to sleep then, 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Oh, fuck off. To approve this application would knowingly put the residents under a wholly unacceptable intensity of risk, she added. Well, Kate, as I said, do yourself a favour, put your house on the market and go somewhere else. I'm sure you've got the money to be able to do it if you live in SW6 or Chelsea in general. What can you say, Kate? Okay, so this is the Chelsea pitch owners now, and they're going to outline the redevelopment timetable and the confirmed bid for the site. So Chelsea's new ownership acknowledged following the takeovers they plan to invest in Chelsea's infrastructure, and that intention completely remains. Chelsea are unlikely to see a completed redevelopment of Stamford Bridge or whatever other stadium plans the club have. See, it's really interesting now. I think the bigger picture and let's have it right. They never, if anyone wants to ever do anything in life, right, they don't do it straight away, they do it gradually, yeah? So they test the water, they see what, you know, what people think, they gauge opinion, and then from that, they then move in very, very small steps, yeah, so you don't notice it. And if you get a knockback somewhere else, they just repackage things and then go at it from a different angle. And I'm just wondering whether the bigger picture is that it makes more sense to move elsewhere. And the reason why I say that is if you're going to redevelop Stamford Bridge, you've got to knock it all down. And there is an issue with regards to the acreage. I've said that all along, yeah. In order to build what you really, really want, you know, you've got to knock everything down. That means the hotels, everything. In which case, it would be a cheaper option to build elsewhere. Then you can have exactly what you want. And as I say, Stamford Bridge as a piece of real estate is worth 2-3 Old Traffords. You know, we're talking mega money. In fact, the whole club could be completely transformed. We could probably have double, if not treble, the type of transfer window that we've just seen, or something on a regular, you know, occasion. I'll talk to you about that in a bit more depth, actually, guys, because I have got a solution to it all. But I know a lot of people, and especially the old school, a lot of people want to stay put, and I understand that. But I'll go on here. So it says that Chelsea are unlikely to see a complete redevelopment of Stamford Bridge or whatever other staging plans the club have before 2030. That's a long time. It's a really long time away, isn't it? You know. According to the Chelsea pitch owners, Chairman Chris Izzett, speaking to the group's annual general meeting, said the Blues are still exploring a number of options as they look to invest in the infrastructure. The CPO is the company that holds the freehold of Stamford Bridge Stadium and the name Chelsea FC. It's a group made up of over 23,000 individual shares with the purpose of protecting the future of Stamford Bridge. So that's another reason why football supporters, you know, around the world, well, definitely in this country, you know, look at Chelsea fans and fucking hate us, but we own our own fucking name. We own our own fucking pitch. What that is, guys. I know what that is. Sorry about that, guys. Oh God, that was my my daughter's tablet, and it was tucked in behind mine there. Shall I edit that bit out? No, fuck it, I'll leave it in. Sorry about that, guys. So, so the Blues are exploring a number of options as they look to invest in their infrastructure. The CPO is the company that is made up of over 23,000 individual shares with the purpose of protecting the future of Stamford Bridge while allowing supporters to own part of the football club. Chelsea pay a nominal rent to make use of the pitch. Upon announcing the agreement to buy Chelsea, the Bowley Clearlake Group made a number of commitments, and Stamford Bridge was central to the areas that they had indicated for investment. They said the proposed new owners will commit $1.75 billion in further investment for the benefit of the club. This includes investments in Stamford Bridge, the academy, the women's team and Kings Meadow, and continued funding for the Chelsea Foundation. The Blues have already made some small adjustments to Stamford Bridge with the ambition of Todd Bowley and co. also to make the ground a venue where supporters hope to spend time around the 90 minutes on the pitch. The US businessman noticed this with the change of approach to Premier League stadiums as early as 2019. In other words, they kind of reflect the same influence that American stadiums have, where it's a lifestyle thing where people come not just to watch the football, but they come to relax and eat and drink inside the grounds. In other words, don't all come in at the last minute, which traditionally was always the case in England, wasn't it? In opening the CPO meeting, is it acknowledged the owner's commitment to invest in the club? 1.75 billion in addition to the funds used to purchase Chelsea itself, that would be partially be directed towards the stadium. The chair also revealed a commitment the club provided for the occasion. It read, as our new owners said in their first communication after acquiring the club, they are committed to growing Chelsea as a global platform, including investing in infrastructure and across a range of areas. We are exploring all options to ensure a stadium solution which makes the most sense for the club, our fans and our community. We are looking forward to working closely with the CPO as we consider and access the different options available to us. It went on to reference the coverage of Chelsea's bid for the Stoll site close to Stamford Bridge and indicated that CPO is set to be consulted on matters moving forwards. He added, you have seen media coverage of the club's bid for the Stoll site adjacent to the ground. It was just one of many bids that have been made for the site, and a decision from Stoll's trustees is unlikely to be made immediately. The club has confirmed again that they will consult on key matters throughout the process. To paraphrase, not because they have to, but because they want to. In any event, we understand that whatever shape the project eventually takes, it is unlikely to be completed before 2030. So it's a long way away, guys. In October, Chelsea co-owner Jonathan Goldstein said that the club hoped to get plans underway within 12 months, although he did acknowledge issues with interest rates. He said, the planning process is something which will start during the course of the next year, and we'll hope that central government will get behind it and see it as an engine for growth. Well, I've often said this, guys, so I really don't understand why there could be a little bit of help towards us. I know they probably see us as being self-sufficient and, you know, a club that maybe don't need it, etc. But we are talking about developing the most, developing the most affluent area in the country. You don't get any more high society and than Chelsea. I mean, if you look at Tottenham, for example, they've had massive government benefits from the building of their stadium, and look at West Ham, they've had it completely tax-free, haven't they? They've been handed basically the keys to the keys to the kingdom of heaven, really, if you think about it. It's a free stadium with free, pretty much everything's free, to be fair. If you look, and also if you look into that whole situation with the London Stadium and all of it's dodgy. It really, really is, But you look at that, right, and you think, well, why couldn't there be a little bit, perhaps maybe a grant or something like that? But nothing, He said, this is going back to Jonathan Goldstein, the planning process is something which will start during the course of next year, and we hope central government will get behind it and see it as an engine for growth. The only problem, of course, is the management of interest rates, because it makes it so much more expensive to develop, he added, before being asked whether Chelsea will stall their plans. To which Goldstein replied, no, we'll carry on as fast and as hard as we can. It's a big project and there are very many constituents involved, and we are at the beginning, but we will carry on because we believe in the business, in Chelsea FC and the area we know over time, Stamford Bridge, it needs redevelopment. Well, there you go, guys, there you go. So really and truly, they're looking to do it as soon as possible, but the problem we've got here is it still means, right, moving away. And as I said before, Wembley, shit. So this is the Mail Online here, right? Chelsea admit that any Stamford Bridge redevelopment won't be finished until at least 2030, as they weigh up 5 years renting elsewhere or a lengthy stand-by-stand rebuild. And I really can't see that being done. I really can't. I mean, it's the most logical thing. It's the best thing in terms of, you know, I prefer it, but I can't see it. How can it be done? It's just impossible. So look, yeah, the stadium expansion won't be completed for another 7.5 years, man. So this is the bit, I think this is the key one, right? The Blues are exploring all options to upgrade their current home, and expected it would take up to 4 to 5 years to complete a real rebuild. Planning permission to expand Stamford Bridge to a 60,000 capacity expired under Roman Abramovich, leader of the club. Chelsea have tasked co-owner Jonathan Goldstein to look into a renewed expansion plan. See, is it going to be the same look? I weren't really convinced about the look of it, I've got to be honest. I mean, it's iconic, it's different, but I like that, the fact that it was unique. But you know, there's also something else about the height of St Paul's. Yeah, I read something the other day about them trying to buy some land which clears the growth so they can drop down. It's quite complex, like, you know. It says here the new owners also want to improve facilities at their Cobham training ground, which opened 15 years ago. I mean, it's a lovely place, this Cobham, yeah, but has it got a bit dated? I don't know. I guess 15 years is quite a long time. Technology does move on, let's be honest. Well, I guess we're looking very heavily at redevelopment. The planning process is something which we have to start during the course of next year, and we hope central government will get behind it. It's a big project. There are very many. Well, there's a big project, and there are very many constituents involved, and we are at the beginning, but we'll carry on because we believe in the business. Chelsea co-owner Todd Bowley has confirmed. Bloody thing. Sorry, guys. His commitment to a massive redevelopment of Stamford Bridge, despite fears of potentially moving the club elsewhere. So £50 million they've put in for this site. That was done in December. I think March is the time when you find out the result of that. I think there's 2 other bidders that are also involved in that. 1.2 acres of land, that is, and the official cut-off date for the bids pass was late December, so it's done. It says here the site is seen as an important step towards the club making a £1 billion revamp. Says Chelsea are eager to snap up the land as their expansion plans are hampered by Stamford Bridge being tightly hemmed in by buildings and railway lines. Yeah, let's have a quick look, guys, just to see if there's anything else. Here we go. Just the last one here, guys, and then I'll... So, Chelsea facing prospect of making Wembley their home for 5 years. Chelsea could end up copying Tottenham Hotspur, move their home games to Wembley, but the Blues might be there for 5 years. It's far too long. I mean, it really is an awful place. It's been a hell of a few months for Chelsea, and so much upheaval since Roman Abramovich sold the club to American Todd Bowley. Blah, 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 blah. I want to get to the bit about Wembley. They do go over all the same old stuff, like, you know. So it says here, according to the club, they've already started to investigate their options for the future, and there are fears around staying at their current ground. See, there you go. See what I'm saying? Tottenham had to do the same in 2017, i.e. go to Wembley when they knocked down White Hart Lane and built the new stadium. It says if Chelsea's redevelopment would take much longer than Spurs and could leave them at Wembley for as long as 10 years if they knocked Stamford Bridge down and rebuilt it stand by stand. What's it all about? It's not the first time that the Blues have considered using Wembley, with Abramovich eyeing up the move. Right, so listen guys, I'm going to put it out there, right, and as I say, I have got a solution, but I'm not going to let you know about that, little son. So my question to you guys is, if it meant us having lots and lots and lots and lots of revenue, yeah, that's better, lots and lots of revenue, being massively sufficient because we'd sell Stamford Bridge as a piece of real estate, would you consider a move elsewhere? I mean, I'm going to say something which I've said before. Only Fools and Horses, there's that famous sketch where I think they're in the cafe, Del Boy, Trigger, Boise sat there with Rodney, and Trigger comes out with the broom, what about his broom? He's getting this award from Councillor Roberts for always using the same broom, saving money for the council and all that, right, and then he goes on to say that he's had about 20 heads and 15 handles, and they're saying, well, it's not the same broom. It's a great sketch, right, and of course it's funny, but how is Stamford Bridge are we going to knock it all down? It's all gone. I know spiritually it's in the same place, kind of thing, but it's not the same, is it? It's if you're getting rid of everything, and I mean absolutely everything gone, flattened, right? How is it the same? And if it meant that we could go to another level, like i.e. to like top Real Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid sort of level, where we become this incredible iconic football club, would you consider moving elsewhere, which could possibly mean 75,000 seats, 80,000 seats, to a different place in the same area, Sorry guys. Sorry about that, guys. Would you consider that, like to move elsewhere? Okay, you wouldn't be at Stamford Bridge no more. You'd be in a brand new shiny stadium, but you could have it exactly how you want it. It would make much more money. They could also pay for it all by the selling of the real estate of Stamford Bridge, and we'd have another, say, 2 billion or 1 billion to spend on players. And then because of the increased revenue, we could just go again and we'd just be in a completely different stratosphere. Would you consider that? Or no matter what, no matter how far you aim to go, you just want to stay put. You just want to stay in exactly the same place. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know West Ham supporters, right, they'll always look at Upton Park, if you want to call it that, or the bowling ground, as their spiritual home, yeah? It's the culture of the football club, right, that whole area. And of course they've moved away, and it's quite a move, to be fair. And their old ground now is a housing estate, yeah? And they were really unhappy about it, and especially the way the club went about it. But they're now starting to come round to it, and of course West Ham now, they're playing in front of 60,000 now, not 30,000, and they're, you could argue they're a different football club, to what they were. Yes, they've lost their traditions and their history and everything else. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think down below. If that was the case, would you do it, or would you, no matter what, you want to stay at Stamford Bridge? Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. Sorry for the for the alarm going off on my daughter's tablet. As I say, much love to you all, much love, and I'll speak to you all soon. And as always, up the Chelsea.